Hello, and welcome to the Nairobi Review's weekly media digest. My name is Katie Fentress, and I am your host. It has been a week since the holy month of Ramadan started, and as such, we did want to wish our brothers and sisters of the Islamic faith Ramadan Kareem. I probably shouldn't have waved. The holy month of Ramadan is about it's a time for community and standing by those less fortunate in society. Through the act of fasting and by through charitable acts, Muslims feel that they can better identify with the plight of the poor and also in so doing get closer to God. If there's anything this global pandemic is doing, at least in societies marked by extreme inequality like here in Kenya, is to really make us realize that now is the time to try to identify with the poor, at least try to walk a mile in their shoes, and understanding how the inequalities that were already present in our societies are really being exacerbated during the crisis. As such, we thought that this was a good week to stop and think about charity and acts of altruism. The truth is that in the 7 or so weeks since COVID hit Kenya, we have witnessed amazing acts of charity. We have seen individuals dig deep into their pockets to help certain communities. We have seen neighborhood association groups get together to help their local kijijis. We have seen NGOs work their networks to the maximum to ensure that they can get hand washing stations and hand sanitation and also food relief to people in their communities. And we have also seen how bigger groups, like for example KEPSA, the Kenyan Private Sector Association, have really been redirecting almost all their efforts in order to find solutions for the urban poor in this moment. So that's definitely been very heartwarming for us to see that. Obviously, it has not all been without slip-ups. There were, especially earlier on, examples of people attempting to do food donations, which resulted in flash mobs and potential COVID dissemination areas, which was not very great. The most ugly of these and the most prominent was, of course, at the beginning of April when a food donation drive organized by opposition leader Raila Odinga turned into total mayhem and resulted in the death of 2 women. So, yeah, it seems very obvious that charity is great, but sometimes needs to be thought through before just giving knee-jerk reactions. Another thing that we've really noticed is has been on a sort of coordination front. So you've got all these different people, organizations, groups, associations scrambling to help. And what we notice is there has been an attempt on the part of some organizations and some WhatsApp groups in particular that have very, very much tried to create a systematic and coordinated response. However, in as much as they are doing their absolute best, the truth is that they are never going to be able to reach everyone because of sheer capacity. They do not have the capacity to do it. So, I wonder who would have the capacity to reach all the poor in society. But let me think about that a second. Oh wait, there's a thing called the government. Yeah, so I feel this is kind of the question of the day. What does it say about this society, this Kenyan society that we live in, if the moment there is a crisis, everybody starts scrambling to help without for a second actually expecting the government to do anything? It's like, what is the job of the government if not to ensure that all of its citizens are treated equally and fairly? Whose responsibility is it to ensure that the human rights of our citizens are respected? Who receives taxpayers' money and international loans earmarked specifically for helping the poor? And most of all, who has a network big enough that might be able to actually reach everybody in the country? Oh, yeah, the government. So this is definitely something that we find problematic and would love to see more people pressuring the government to do its job instead of just assuming that it's not going to. There was, with that in mind, there was one initiative that had caught our attention. President Kenyatta had said that it would that the government would start giving weekly stipends to poor families of 2,000 shillings. Now, we haven't been able to follow up so much, but we did see a newspaper report saying that some families had received some money, but it was half of what they'd been promised. So what was that about? Oh, hi, Grace.
Hi, Katie.
What's up?
I'm good. So, you were talking about the president giving out free money, and I thought I would invite myself to this conversation because,
Karibu.
yes, we have seen a lot of people being amazing and amazing countrymen and giving people money, poor people money, but who is helping the middle class? I mean, considering that parents have recently had to start working from home, had to start teaching their own children from the house, have had to start feeding all their children, having to make sure that they're doing all their outside activities, PE, so and so, being entertainment curator, and icing, they also are expected to pay full school fees for the next semester.
What? That's like across the board?
I know, right? So parents from Brookhouse, I saw this on a national newspaper last week where they were expected to pay the full amount of school fees and had to sue the school for the school to finally reduce the fees by half and make it free for people in year 4 and lower, which makes sense. I mean, did you need to be sued, Brookhouse, really?
Sorry,
really?
Are you saying that they were making kindergartners pay full fees?
Full fees, and we all know that's not like Chapombili, like school fees in Brookhouses. So this is already insane. And we've also had students from the universities, like private institutions like Strathmore and USIU, complaining because from an insider, a friend of mine who's in USIU told me USIU has only reduced 3,000 shillings from next semester's school fees. Shame on you,
That's not even
USIU.
transport fees.
Yes, so the moms and the dads who are already working from home, let's assume they have 1 or 2 computers to share amongst their children, are feeding all their children, and now they have to make sure their children have internet for these online classes, but I guess the institution still needs to stand and
Does
needs
internet
school
cost
fees.
less?
No, I mean, Safaricom hasn't reduced anything. They said that the bandwidth will be increasing, but I mean, if you've been working from home like some of us, you know that's a lie. If anything, the internet has been horrible lately. I don't understand. So this, again, what are we doing about the middle class? People, we're always expected like, oh yeah, they'll be okay, but what's really happening with these people? I mean, what's going to be done?
I think actually you're raising a very important question, Grace. And yeah, you know me. I'm always like, oh yeah, what's happening to people in informal settlements, and that's very much where my view is. But I think it's arrogant to assume that
The middle class are okay.
that the middle class are okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a precarious society. Middle class. It can mean a lot of stuff in Kenya,
Yes.
and a lot of the time, if you are sending your kids to a private school, you need to be earning a huge salary in order to be able to pay for them. So if all of a sudden now you added all this extra burden, I mean, and also the whole point with university is that it's the campus experience. I mean, when you do an online university like Open University, you pay much, much less because you don't have the campus experience. You don't have the libraries, you don't have the facilities, you don't have the gyms.
lecture. Exactly, which also brings me to another thing. I don't know, maybe they're doing this because they're still paying the teachers and all those workers who used to clean your bathrooms and classrooms and the cooks who used to stay in your cafeterias full salaries. So if you do work for one of these institutions and want to tell us your story, please let us know if you've had to go through a salary reduction and where the money might be going. If people are expected to pay full fees. I mean, I haven't heard universities like Catholic University or any other ones complaining apart from these other ones, but I'm sure that they never usually just like, oh, you don't have to pay your fees, good job. No. So I don't know.
Who do you think should be the champion? I mean, there's all these groups championing the rights of the poor and vulnerable. Who should be championing the rights of the middle class?
I nominate Kenyans on Twitter, okay? It's about time we stand for something more than just trolling people online. Kenyans on Twitter, it's time we take a stand and fight for the middle class. They need a voice too, not everyone. Middle class goes anywhere between making 50K a month to making 400, 500K a month. All these people are vulnerable at this situation, just like those people who make your daily average less than $1, I guess, like how one would say it. So Kenyans on Twitter, let's please just take this initiative to help the middle class. At least just help them be able to make it through this time. They don't want your money, they just need somebody to speak up on behalf of them.
Excellent. I see. And I mean, just off the cuff here, but I remember that there's been a bit of a furore over President Uhuru Kenyatta sending all these roses to Great Ormond Street Hospital in London and some other hospitals. I mean, do you think the middle class would appreciate getting roses? Would that make them feel a bit better?
I mean, well, first let's focus on the health workers getting kits to help them fight this before we can give them roses and congratulate them for fighting this. We're still in the fight. The war is still on. Roses should probably come after.
I mean, have we gotten any indications on PPEs? How much numbers of that do we have in the country?
No, not at the moment. I mean, it's still where they stood last week, so.
Okay,
let's just wait and see.
Wait, before we go on, Great Ormond Street, I did want to send a shout out hi to my friend Donatella, who works in that hospital. I do very much hope that you have received the flowers. Do let us know about that.
Please comment down below and let us
know.
comment
about your flowers.
Thank you.
Were they smelling nice? What kind of roses were they?
Yeah, also were they a bit old, because we would understand if they were in storage for a while. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think with that, we're about ready to sign off. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grace. I think that interruption was quite
Thank you
was
for
quite
letting
welcome.
me interrupt you.
Absolutely.
Today.
Before we go, we would we'd like to mention the fact that we were on a panel earlier on this week. It was part of the Lock-In Festival that has been organized by Creatives Garage. It was our first panel discussion ever, so it was quite an experience. We had very cool guests. So we had Kivostero from Masaimbili in Kibera, Jim Omweo, who works for Yoga Heart Kenya and is from Kangemi, and Michael Popo-Bach from Mombasa, who were sort of telling us about the situation where they were. So we just wanted to do a shout out to both Creatives Garage and our panelists. If you want to see the video, it's actually on the Creatives Garage Facebook page, which we can put in the comment section underneath. Yeah. But otherwise, that's been amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in
to this week's episode.
Peace and fucking ciao.